What makes you to explore business opportunities?
And that's when I realized, I have great interest on software. I was freelancing during my first year, second year, third year, and all that.
Nowadays, youngsters starting business and they are not about to take failures.
The great things we built for a telecom company or for Microsoft, but more than that,
I'm very happy to welcome to the 9th edition of our e-magazine, Corporate Madness. Today, we have our esteemed guest, Mr. Venkatarangan who is an author, generative AI keynote speaker, and an industry expert, and we are very much privileged to have him for today's session. Vanakkam, sir.
Vanakkam.
We start with, sir, kindly share your early days from your childhood, what kind of a person you are, and what was your goal at that time as a young person?
Even now I am younger, so see, I came from a book publishing business family. My grandfather, Sri Krishnaswamy Sarma, he started Lifco Books, famous for the Lifco dictionaries. Every household in Tamil Nadu will be having a dictionary. So he started it in 1929. My father, Sri Vardhan, he ran it for the next 50 years. So I grew up amongst books in that sense, in our godown, barrows and shop. So that's the experience, and seeing my father running the business was something I was more interested in the showroom where the books are sold. It was so exciting for me as a child to give a book, receive money from somebody, write a bill, give it. That interaction was somehow, I was very fascinated by that. And when I was in 8th standard, every year during that time, my father, the office was in Rangan Street, Srinagar. Those days you could still go into Rangan Street and come. So our old house was there, the showroom was there, warehouse was there. My father used to run Deviga Puttaka Kachi, devotional books exhibition every year, because we had huge footfall in Rangan Street. So 10 days or 12 days, every publisher across India, from the north to Gita Press to Rameshwaram, everybody will be sending their mostly Tamil books or English or Sanskrit books on Stotra religion. We'll also have some Christian books from the missionaries, Bibles or Quran, publishers from across the world. It's called devotional books, Daiviga Puttaka Kachi, not Hindu religious things. So that's how my father, my grandfather, even the business was called Little Flower Company, named after the holy saint Little Flower. So that's the tradition. So that exhibition was being conducted every year. And during 8th standard, somehow my father said, you also help. I don't know why he said that. And I was managing a group of student volunteers who were helping us from again, a Ramakrishna Math connection from the Sharada Vidyalaya school. Those girl students used to come and assist us. So that kind of, I was not supervising them or anything. I was a young boy. But working with them, telling them, okay, because I know the titles, I know this, so telling them that, teaching them that was somehow very fascinating. I was an 8th standard or 7th standard student, 12th standard students coming from there, telling them, so very fascinating. So that's where I realized I won't call a great leadership or anything. That's where I realized I enjoy guiding people, and I enjoy the business part of things. So I leave it there, and then we'll.
Great. Having said that, when you got that spark after completing your education, what makes you to explore business opportunities rather than taking up employment?
Okay, so employment campus. I'm an engineer. I'll come to that, but I was not a very studious student. I was more not even a backbencher. I was never in the classes. So any excuse I'll be out of the class. So I know I'm not going to get into campus or anything like that. And growing up in a business family, I know from very early days I'll do some business. I didn't know what business, but I never saw myself working for anyone. Not that I didn't want to listen to anybody, but that didn't excite me. You have to create something out of your own, is what I have always realized. So during 11th, 12th, my father got a computer. This was very early days, I think 286 or 386 gray screen monitor and all that. And they had somebody develop a basic inventory software. And when a virus came, that software, the person also became invisible. All the software went invisible. So I was forced to learn it. And my uncle said, why don't you learn and write it? I don't know what, again, something is in life you can't explain. So my uncle said, you learn. And I went to a local course, learned it, and spent months developing that software. And that's when I realized, oh, I have great interest on software. I was always, what do you call, playing with electronics and all that, building small circuitries and all that. But this software exposure told me, okay, software is the line I have to go. And the software they were using and giving feedbacks and all that. So by then, my 12th standard college days, I did my engineering from Venkateshwara College, SVC, Sri Perumbudur. I was freelancing during my first year, second year, third year, and all that, developing software for local business. It's not like today when software is very mature, you have SaaS and all that thing. Somebody, if you know to write software, you are seen as a big thing. So local travel car rental company, I wrote a big software for them, which I'm proud of still. It's in my GitHub and all that. So I gave that and I was getting paid for it. So that was a big feeling that you are getting paid for a software when you are in your college first year, second year and all that. My father got me the first computer because I pestered him, but the rest all upgrade, everything I was able to buy from my own money of freelancing. So the question is, when did I start a business is very fuzzy one, because in the college days itself, I was doing freelancing. So in a sense, I was earning not big monies, probably few thousand rupees in those days, but that was good enough for me. And so 96, when I graduated, I was already doing this freelancing, one of the TVS groups. I was doing some small website for them, so on and so forth. So that is the journey.
Can you share your first venture in software development? Because for the information of the viewers, I would like to say I read a book which is Founder Catalyst, where Sir has authored the book, and I would say it was a much grounded book where an entrepreneur shared his experience in his life. So your thoughts, your experience can be an eye opener for the viewers. That's why I'm asking this question. So, can you share your first uh,
Okay.
product, what you developed?
Okay. So continuing from where we left, by 96 when I graduated, I had already been doing freelancing. So that's when the early internet came. 95 VSNL came. We could connect, and that will be very strange to the viewers of this. We had to go to a BSNL office, give a government form to get an internet connection. Rest all those are history. Anyway, so got connected to the internet. I saw I could write software in Visual Basic. I wrote a first software called EasyPass. To sell it, I said there was a company in Germany called Desk or something, if I remember right. They were your early PayPals or your Paytms or this. So you can upload your software and give a link to them. They will collect money and pay you. Very sophisticated for 96 time frame. So we couldn't get money in our bank accounts through international and all that those days. It was very difficult. So for that, they asked a company name. I didn't have a company name. So I said, I know this software is going to be called EasyPass. I'll tell what it is. But then I had a website also called Easy Tools. EasyPass was the software. EasyTools.com was the website. But they said, you need a company name. I didn't have a company name. So I thought for many days. There was no chat GPT those days. So I had to think. And my sister once came and said, I'm called Vishwak in my house. Venkatarangan is my official name. So my sister said, why don't you call the company Vishwak? It's not that you are going to start a big Tata or a Birla or something. Why don't you call by your own name? You're breaking your head for this for days. She jokingly, as a sister, she was pulling a prank. Why don't you call your name? So I said Vishwak Associates. So I went to a bank, did a proprietorship company. That's about it. No registration, nothing. My father said, go to the bank. You will get it done. So I went, got it done. That's how the first company, Vishwak Associates, got created. This software, EasyPass, was a security software. There was this database called Access. Even today in Microsoft Office, you will find MS Access. It's a small database for small business, where this software was to set up passwords for it and remove passwords. So, it's a small security tool. I didn't know people will like it. There are so many businesses using Access. I'm a small engineer, just graduated, sitting in Chennai, doing, and I wrote and put this software. Over the next couple of months, I sold across 30, 40, 50 countries. People are buying it. It's $10 or $20 initially. They are buying it. I didn't know why are they buying it. I didn't do any marketing. I just put it and probably wrote in some few websites that I have developed this software. No GitHub, nothing those days. Even Google, I think, came a little later to prominence. So somebody in the US had a newsletter. They were reviewing software every week. So that person had picked up that, and that came, and that has thousands of people reach. So 50 people across countries are buying it. So that is how the journey started. For the completion, let me finish it. That was the product journey. Free. It was a freeware you can download and use it once or twice. Then you have to buy it. That's how that thing worked. Then I was playing with this web technology and all that those days. That got Microsoft's attention. So they asked me to speak in one of their events in Adair Park. I gave a talk there. New product called Visual Interdev came. So I was the speaker for that product. There are interesting stories on my first talk, but that's a different discussion. So that I got connected with Microsoft people. So when they wanted to launch MSN in India, they looked around and not many people had worked in web, and they said, why don't we call this person? And they called me and said, why don't you do the site for us, help us? They were on a global platform, typical IT service outsourcing thing. So the first, as a prelude to that, they asked me to do the NDTV website in 98 during, I think, the Vajpayee's famous 13-day government. That election, I was setting up the entire infrastructure for NDTV, online videos and all that in 13 days. Not the Vajpayee government 13 days, but our work took us those 13 days in NDTV. That's when I saw press very closely, because I was literally living in NDTV's office day and night for that 13 days. So that gave the confidence to Microsoft MD in India to, then they gave us the Microsoft MSN India business. Then the next 20 years for various Microsoft divisions, I started working as my company, Vishwak Associates, then became Vishwak Private Limited. We worked. I had an office in Seattle, so we had many people working in Seattle. We were servicing about 20-30 MSN markets for them, and so on. That's how the journey started. The product was what I loved, I created, but then it became a services company by fate or luck or whatever you call it.
I would say you have followed the trend. Rather, you have created a trend also, because at that time IT was at the trend. So that may be a reason why it got so much attention, and also it has some kind of utility to it. I came to know in your book you mentioned that your first product was copied by someone and recreated it. Why I'm asking this specific question is, nowadays youngsters starting business and they are not about to take failures. Their mindset is not to take failures. So I thought this was a very big setback, maybe at the initial stage. Now, kindly share that mindset, what you had, and how you bounced back from that moment.
Very good question. I appreciate you asking that part from the many other things. At that time, I didn't think it was a big deal, frankly. But looking back, oh, okay, we have climbed that and come over. I more took it as a personal friendship. He cheated me on the friendship rather than there's a big business loss and all that. That didn't come to my mind. I was probably naive those days. Naivety is good. Today, I think there is so much information that students are losing that naivety. Sometimes, like a famous thing, like Steve Jobs says, stay hungry, stay foolish. You have to be foolish to start a business. Otherwise, you do an Excel calculation, you can't start a business. Unless your father is a millionaire, billionaire who can write a check, or you marry into a business family and you inherit a empire to run, you have to be foolish. Otherwise, you say, okay, there is 10 lakh salary from Infosys, or I'm going to start this business where the monthly turnover I see to be 20,000-30,000 rupees. Why do I want to do it? Doesn't make any sense. So coming back to your question on that, this was this easy pass, and we wrote 2 or 3 other easy star products, easy struct and so on. And there was this person, let's call him Mr. M. He lived across the street in Chennai. So this was something I enjoyed doing. So there was Vishwak Associates. I put the software and he will come. I had a big computer, internet and all that. My college classmates will come and just hang around. They will watch movies or download images. Movies was impossible. Images and stories and software and all that. So my house was a place where they could come. So here there was this Mr. M who would come in, and we didn't have any discussion. You partner with me, you don't partner with me, nothing like that. I was developing something, and he said, "Why don't? Oh, that screen, Venkat, I'll help you." Okay, help. So we both were coding. I was coding, he was coding. He was improving something. He listed. There was no work allocation. What is that you are doing? Nothing like that. We just enjoyed doing it. And then I was consulting a company. This was like 6 months, 1 year. The software was selling. I was probably making about 20,000-30,000 rupees pocket money for me to spend, so that I'm not asking my father what to do. Then one of the companies I was consulting, this was called Chennai Online. So I created their initial. They were the early web portals of those days. So I was consulting them. I was fresh out of college. Consulting seems a big word, but then I was the only one who know web, HTML, JavaScript, and that made me a big deal. So not many people know those days. So it was the cutting edge technology those days. Just like we were talking about AI, AGI, web was what everybody was talking about. So they said, "Oh, why don't you do this?" So I was doing. That's when one of their senior, their GM came, Srivachan, he came and said, "Venkat, I'm finding Easy Pass the same thing in some other website." Okay, so I then looked, and it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, okay, it is Mr. M who has done it. Same screen, just replacing the name with something name, and he put it. So, and the funny part was, he had borrowed one of my old computers and put it in his house and all that. Long story short, so I went in, brought the computer. I told his mother that I don't want to see him anymore, and that's about it. But what I was personally hurt was, there was not so much money to be made. This is not a Microsoft Office or a Chat GPT kind of thing. It's never going to make millions or even thousands of rupees in any time and soon. So that was a betrayal to the friendship, that is it. And I moved on. So that meant in the business then, I never had partners for the next 20 years. Even when I thought about it, I know, okay, I've gone through this, I can cross this journey. It's not a big deal.
Maybe you're from a family with a business background. Maybe that gives a maturity to move on very easily.
Probably. I would have never even discussed this with my father or anything. So I just moved on. What is the big deal about it?
Can you share in what way your family business have had impact in your life and in your business?
See, definitely in my book also, I talk about my grandfather. He passed away when I was 4 years, 5 years, the person who started the Lifco in 1929. So I'd never seen him. So it was only stories, I heard from people how great he was. And my father was the one who I seen very closely, and he passed away 6-7 years back. But he never sat down, and it's not today's interaction that I have with my son or anything like that. So at most I would have spoken to my father maybe 100 words, 500 words in the entire life I had known him. So, and he never sat down and said, "This is what you have to do." That kind of parenting is, I think, impossible golden standards to emulate. I don't think so. I cannot do it. My son will agree. And I do see the other parents coming. It's extremely difficult. He just set a role model. He never sat down and said, "This is what you have to do." That, I think, is the biggest parenting lesson you can give, where you don't tell somebody, you just live your life the way it should be lived, and you just observe and learn it. That's been what I learned from my father. He never made a big deal about, there was no Excel sheet, there was no financial planning, there was no consultants. All he knew was monthly he had to pay salary to his people on time. There has to be balance in the bank. He borrowed from the bank, it has to be paid on time. He promised a customer, he has to deliver. Those very simple things, nothing complicated. So that's what I learned from him. And till I ran my business 20 years, I sold it to a US company 4-5 years back, and I exited. Till that time, I can proudly say, you can ask me what technologies we build. I can tell you from the first technology, the great things we built for a telecom company or for Microsoft. But more than that, the proudest moment for me, even in my toughest time when I had so much debt, I never delayed paying salary to my people. We had 200, 300 people, office in US, UK and all that. Bootstrap, there was no investor, nobody. But that is my proudest thing, that I will still say that when I ran my business for 20, 25 years, there was no dues to anybody. Okay. And I paid, it's a small thing. Paying salary to people may not be a big thing, but running it over the period without investors, and I think that is the proudest thing for me.
That's great. Sir, can you share your experience with Microsoft? Honorary Regional Director for Microsoft, you met people president, former president of our country, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Artificial intelligence impacts in today's world.
We want ChatGPT, Google Gemini.
Today, we have our esteemed guest, Mr. Venkatarangan Thirumalai, who is an author, generative AI keynote speaker, and an industry expert. And we are very much privileged to have him for today's session. Vanakkam, sir. I think you prioritized building trust for the business. I hope I also learned from that in your book that nowadays building trust is the base for any business.
Correct. See, you got in a correct word, trust. Even today, they have created a WhatsApp group for the former Vishwakayans, if they can say. Probably 400, 500 people would have been in Vishwak over the 20, 25 years. Not many of them, about 100 are there in the WhatsApp group, but some of them maybe 100 of them I had to fire during the US recession 2008 when things got tough. We were 200 plus people. One of our largest customer overnight cancelled our $1 million order and all that. Went through a very tough time. That's a different story. I went transparently to all of them and said, and I gave them 2 months severance package. When I didn't, I had to give them legally only 1 month thing. But I said, these guys are not going to get a job in this tough market. This is 2008 recession. You throw a stone, like they say, it'll hit on a software web engineer those days. And I know they are not going to get a job outside. So I paid too. When I had a debt in my bank, this was going to be further debt. I had no ideas how will I ever repay that loan. But I know these guys are going to suffer more than me. So that's what I did. So coming back to this WhatsApp group, still they are in touch. So I post anything, they at least like it and in the group. So that means there is still a relationship. There is a trust. Some of them called me and said, Venkat, I'm going to do this. Is this a good career path for me? So there is no animosity. They don't see me as the villain who fired them on that day. They understand why it happened.
That's great. Sir, can you share your experience with Microsoft? Because you worked as honorary regional director for Microsoft. Can you share a few things about it? And what is the key takeaway from Microsoft that you had?
Okay, I'll answer that in two ways. One, it's not, I never worked for Microsoft, though I had a very long association with them for almost 30 years and it continues. I'm still a Microsoft regional director. They renew that program. It's an honorary title. They don't pay me. I get access to their software, access to their senior leadership and all that. But I've never been their employee. I've been a partner. Like I said, my company worked as their vendor for 20, 25 years across various geographies. So I've seen them in very close quarters. So this program, coming to the RD, Regional Director program, was started about 30 years back when the responsibility for RDs was to conduct the local developer community events. So I was talking in the South India, say even in Colombo, Singapore and all that about Microsoft developer products as a third-party evangelist about their products, because their whole team in Microsoft those days probably was few hundreds. Today they are about 2-3 lakhs in India. So the developer community program, they wanted somebody to represent them and talk. So that's how the program came. And the reason that's probably something I think that may be useful for the students is when they approached me to give a talk. I was talking about the visual interdev and all that. I was consulting for this Chennai online company. We were the early people to use Microsoft Web Technologies, Windows Server and all that. So I was there in one Microsoft event in Chennai, and there was this gentleman, Mr. Daniel Ingit Raj. He'd spoken about ASPs, launching that product and all that, and we were using that already. So I was asking him a question, and he said, "Oh, somebody is using it even in these early stages." And he said, "Why don't you talk about this visual interdev product which we are launching?" And I did the talk. Hopefully, I did well. So they approached me and said, "You become an RD." I said, "Fine. What do you do? What do I have to do? Nothing. You just talk on events." So I love talking, just like you can see now. So I delivered that talk, and over the years, I've delivered talks for them across the world. That gave me the exposure to various Microsoft senior leadership people, which led to me getting the MSN opportunity. If I'm sitting in Chennai in my house and writing Easy Pass and all that, nobody in Microsoft India and Delhi would know about me. So this was not the days when you had Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, where you can do reels and all that. People have to physically see you. So I could meet them, and that's how it started. So what I will urge students is, any of the events you get an opportunity, Apart from your social media, which I know is very important, I do reels and I do all that. It's important part, but when you get an opportunity, whatever is your line of business, if it is chartered accountancy, those people, any programs, go take few times and interact with the speakers. You don't know what magic will happen serendipitously once. Ask some intelligent questions. Don't ask cliche questions to impress the speaker, and don't answer or read your book as a question. That's not good. Again, ask a genuine question. People are really, as a speaker on stage, I do want to get good questions from people. I really love it. So use that opportunity to interact with people. You don't know which door will get magically opened when. So there are so many instances I can quote, but I'll stop with this.
I came to know that you met people president, former president of our country, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Can you share a few insights about that experience? For what purpose you are associated with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and can you share one a good quality or one memorable experience that you had with our people president?
That is too memorable. I think any interaction with him could be memorable for everyone. I'll start with this. I'm very proud to say I'm associated with the family foundation, the House of Kalam, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam International Foundation, as one of their advisors. So that I consider it to be a very proud about that. And they do a lot of work on taking science to masses and environment and agriculture, whatever Dr. Kalam's vision. So the connection for me came through a very simple way. It's not that I impressed Kalam over any rocket science. The pun intended there is just his grandson, Dr. Markair, is Dr. Kalam's elder brother. His grandson worked for me as a project manager in my firm for many years. So once he asked, do you want to meet Dr. Kalam? This is just after he completed his presidency term. Why not? It's a great honor to meet him. He said, oh, my brother is going to be there, sir. You go meet him. I'll do. So I went there to Akbar Street, Delhi. It was like a pilgrimage to go and meet him. And I gave our Lifco dictionary, and then he was talking to me next several minutes. One thing that really touched me, should be in around 2010. Okay, so he just had completed his presidency a few years back, and done. I'm here probably about running a software company, 200 people, couple of $1 million. That's it. He has met Tatas of the world, Bill Gates of the world, and all that. I'm nobody to him. So I just thought he will give 10, 20 seconds to meet, probably a photograph, and we'll be done. He said, sit down, and he was talking about books he liked, and it was like, as they say in the movies, by just seeing him, I couldn't hear anything. It was just silent to me. He was talking about books, and I was just awed by his presence. I kept quiet, and after a few minutes, he said, his grandson's name who worked for me, his name is Sheikh. How is Sheikh? That's when I came back and said, sir, he's very good. He's doing... No, don't tell me all that he's good and all that. You push him, and you ensure he does, and he learns a lot. He has to read. You as boss, that was like Dr. Kalam saying you as boss was very fascinating, very, very, very thrilling to me. He said, push Sheikh to read. Don't let him not read. And he said, our whole family is known for dedication and sincerity. That man vouching his grandson will be sincere, dedicated. You don't need to tell me any of that. I was so thrilled. Wow, that is the humility. And two things. One, he valued me. He didn't see me as somebody coming, one of the small persons coming and meeting him. And the love for his family and his grandson, the affection he had for them, that he should do well. I could see that. That is one occasion. Second is when he came to our office function. Sheikh invited him and all that. That was very big experience. Third is when many years later, this was about a year before he passed away, Sheikh once said, sir, Tata is coming to governor's house. Why don't you come with your family? So we waited and met him. My son was probably 10, 12 years, came with me. He spoke to myself, my wife, my sister, 2 minutes and done. This was late night. Sheikh said, after everybody's VIPs have gone, we can meet. And he left all of us and came to my son, come sit down. Next 20-30 minutes, Dr. Kalam was speaking to my son. He was 10-12 years at that time. What they spoke, we don't know. They were like friends to each other, and he went down to his level. Who's your teacher? What is your favorite subject? What are you learning? He was learning from my son what is the current students learning. That curiosity was amazing. Here is this man who has done everything. That is what was very fascinating to me. Here, this great man is able to talk to children and understand the world from them. That is why he's loved by people. There are more instances, but we will.
I would say you had a lot of memorable incidents with Kalam, sir. That's truly inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. When it comes to the present day context, what do you think artificial intelligence impacts in today's world? Because at one point of time, technology is everything where students or the professionals have to use it as a tool, supporting tool to enhance their career. But now technology has reached a stage where it can replace a human. So how do you see that as a challenge in this world?
Every time, from a higher philosophical level, every time when we humans add a new technology, our first reaction is to be fearful about it. I don't know the rest of the history, but I've lived through internet, mobile. So that's what people had said it's going to change. It has changed. I think it has changed both positively. There has been some negative impact also. So AI is also going to have that kind of impact. It's already having that impact. And AI is not new. Just ChatGPTs and OpenAIs of the world would like to believe AI started only 3 years before. But it's been from 1956 Dartmouth days, John McAfee's days, artificial intelligence, when the term was coined, it's there. And it's impacted our life already. 20 years, our Gmail spam filtering is a form of AI. Our bank transaction credit card fraud detection is AI. Netflix recommending a movie for last 10-12 years, even before we start watching a movie, is AI. We doing Google Maps, there is a bit of machine learning for it for the last 15 plus years. AI has been around for many years. What has happened in the last 3 years is the Google's famous 2019 paper on Transformers, attention is all you need. And then the OpenAI ChatGPT taking it to the next level, where AI can understand us, understand within quotes, and able to respond to us in a human fashion through a chatbot. This is what is there. It's got its uses. I use it to edit this book, to make it better, to help it to critique me on improving the book, doing a bit of research and all that. So it's so useful. Everybody is using AI today. It can be a great learning tool also. But to say that it's going to take over the world, humanity is at risk and all that, I'm not a Nobel Prize winning scientist. I can't see beyond those levels. But the immediate future, I don't see any threat like that. I think we should more focus on, leave that to the scientists. We can't do anything about it. So let's leave it to the best of the brains to solve humanity at risk and all that existential problems to those best guys and people. So, but coming back at the same time, I won't discount AI also. I do help enterprise on how they can help use AI to the maximum efficiency. So the truth is, I think in between, we have to learn to effectively use AI in whatever way life we do, and to enhance our productivity. We don't do it, our competition is going to do it. That's how I'll do it. Since we are talking to students, I'll give an example. We take a lot of interns in one of the startups I work on. So there was this engineering college I was talking to a few, doing a video call interview to interns. And I asked him, what is the textbook you're reading for operating system? Is it still Tenenbaum? Because that's like Bible, Quran, Veda to all engineers on computer science. And do you read Professor Balaguru Swami for microprocessor and all that? He said, no, I haven't even heard those names. So I said, how do you read? There is no textbooks, there is notes, or I look at YouTube videos, ask what it is and listen to the lectures, or I go to ChatGPT and learn. I said, wow, this is a new way of learning. I can't wrap my head around, you can learn a subject without a textbook. That's why I wrote a book rather than do a series of videos. But students are learning. At the end of the day, they are learning. And ChatGPT is a wonderful tool to use for learning, because it can tell me, I want to know quantum physics. It can tell me, for a person who's not a physics major, can you tell what is quantum physics? Okay. And I can learn. There are a lot of interesting stuff. We'll all have our interest to learn. That's very good. But to take it as truth, That's a problem. So even in businesses, I think you have to find out ways in which AI can really help you. Don't go overboard, experiment, keep using it.
Great. You mentioned about the positives of AI, about especially on detecting frauds. Recently, I read an article that DGGI, Directorate General of GST Investigation, have identified nearly 50,000 crore worth of fake ITZ claims and shell companies, and that is equivalent to nearly a state's budget on health. That is really a magnanimous number. Having said that, are our businesses, especially MSMEs, are they capacitated to move towards AI? How do you see their position on that?
See, actually, the MSMEs have an advantage over enterprises because enterprises take long time to train their people, move on to AI. Infosys, for example, said they have trained about 80%, 90% of their 2.5, 3 lakh employees on AI. But that's a huge task for them. But for an MSME, with 3 people, 4 people, or a single entrepreneur, it's super easy. He has to learn ChatGPT. And I came across this app called Seco. There's many app. I'm writing another series for a magazine called Madras Paper. The stories behind the applications in Tamil. The story behind how each application, the founder story and all that, I'm writing in Madras Paper. One of the applications I researched was called the Seco. This was a small app, about 3 minutes, 5 minutes short videos. They are giving about a subject. They're saying, how do you do baby AI videos in 5 minutes? And they're talking about how do you put your YouTube channel in 5 minutes? How do you do chat GPT in 5 minutes? So they said that a small entrepreneur has just got that 5 minutes while waiting on a bus or a car ride or whatever. So much of information is available. So point is, for an MSME, please learn ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or if you are an Airtel subscriber, Perplexity Pro is available. 17,000 rupees values are free for the next 1 year. Arvind Srinivas, our Chennai guy, is the CEO of Perplexity. So he's giving it, take advantage of it. And this system is not going to come and tell you, oh, you don't know. The biggest problem, again, as a student, I missed 1 week of class in, say, 11th standard when they start teaching differential. Second week, I ask the teacher, oh, I missed the class. Can you tell me this? No, because the next chapter is built on top of the differential that they taught last week. And I'll keep quiet. Entire year, I'll fail on exams because I don't know what is differential because I missed that week. But with this, and I don't want to get up and say, I don't know this. Can you tell me this? Because all the other students will make fun of me. ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google Gemini is not going to do that. So I'll say, I don't know differential. I missed this class. Can you teach me? It's going to teach. You can ask it multiple times. It's not going to beat me. It's not going to mock me. Nothing. Okay. You can also use it for many other fun things that you have to do in college and schools. But positive side is this. So an MSME can use it. Oh, I've got this product. I'm selling textile. I want to approach this apartment complex, but I don't know how do they go there because they are high value customers. Can you tell me an idea? Simple thing, and all your AI is going to do it. It's not magic. It just read so much of content on the internet. It's telling you that. Take advantage of that.
Great, sir. The last part of the interview. Nowadays, what do you think is the most challenging part, or the young entrepreneur have to get in order to succeed in their business? Because at some point of time, investment may be a big challenge. But now we have a lot of anchor investors, and now the money is not a big challenge, in my perspective. Now, what do you think is the first and foremost priority for a person who is thinking to start a business?
See, there is one model that the venture capitalist model, Silicon Valley model has been thought. Nothing wrong about it. There are so many companies which are there, from the Perplexity onto our ChargeBees of the world, Freshdesk of the world, who have done great things. They are all succeeded in that model. But remember, that is just one model. When I say it's a model, it is not universal truth. There can be other models. Something works for me. Like I said, for 20 years of my business, I never had partners. It kind of worked for me, but that's because who I am. Maybe it took me 20 years to be ready to have a partner. I got an investor after 20 years. After going through this US recession that I talked about and all that, I had to mature myself as an individual before I could. So this company, the US company, invested, and I worked with them for 5 years. We could grow it. There's a lot of advantage, but then I had to grow to that level. So that is just one model. So I've seen a lot of youngsters, when they come up with a startup idea, They already are saying this is the only way. I got to pitch to a VC, I got to pitch to a seed investor. What is my idea? What is my team? What is the ROI? There is this. They already have this templates, beautiful Excel and PowerPoint templates. They try to fit in their formula, their dream onto that template. Need not be. Okay, if you can, well and good. But that's just one model. What I look for when I invest in a company is the authenticity, the passion from the entrepreneur. You can't fake it. If you fake it, we can see it. At least that's the experience of 30 years being in the industry. There are more senior people than me. They can see through you clearly. Don't fake. If you're not interested in movies, please don't develop a application or a site or a product around movies. Okay, the passion won't be coming across to you. So it will be something that you are passionate about, something that you can spend days and nights about. You and your co-founders, if you want. Nothing wrong without having a co-founder. Also, I'll tell you, not many businesses need a co-founder. Having a co-founder is well and good. If you're going to raise $1 million, nobody is going to fund a single entrepreneur. What if the bus hits you is the classic question that you'll be getting. But then it has to make sense for the business that you are doing, and go and experiment. Don't sit in Excel sheets and PowerPoints. And if you are trying to sell tea, sell it to 5 people and get authentic feedback they like your tea. Don't say if you give me $1 million, I'll set up. If you're giving me $1 million, I can set up so many things. Okay, so that's not how business works. So talk to the people who are actually using it, getting the feedback and then incorporating it. You are passionate, you incorporate feedback, you have just sold 5 teas to people. That's going to talk more than your PowerPoints and your Excels. If an investor genuinely likes your idea, your Excel is bad, they are going to tell you, prepare Excel and come back tomorrow.
I would say this is really a better advice for the student or an young person who is willing to start his business venture. I suggest the viewers, because whatever you heard, you listened from your esteemed guest like Venkatarangan Thirumalai sir, I would like to suggest to go through his book, The Founder Catalyst, and a Tamil book, Nutpam. And
I have both the books here.
This is the Tamil book, Nutpam. This is the English book, The Founder Catalyst. You can get both on Amazon.
So I would like to thank Venkatarangan Thirumalai sir for spending his valuable time in order to guide, inspire, share his experience to our students. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.